LinkedIn News.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Welcome aboard. My name is Carole Hopson. This is your captain speaking. Most people put down their books, their iPads, their iPhones. They take out their earbuds, and they look at me when I say, this is your captain speaking. Here's a Black woman, most days fairly put together, and she's telling us that she's going to take us over the Atlantic.
Fly me. Yeah. She's going to fly me over the water. That's United Airlines Captain Carole Hopson. I'm Leah Smart, and this is Everyday Better. Stay tuned to hear Carole's incredible mid-career pivot story from corporate life to airline captain, and her most recent work, a novel about one of the first Black female pilots, Bessie Coleman. Don't forget to hit that follow button to get new episodes of our show every week. And if you like this episode or any others that you've heard, I have a favor to ask you. Consider leaving us a review so we can keep bringing you more conversations you love. If you don't know, here's how to leave a review. On Apple Podcasts, go to the Everyday Better page, scroll down to Ratings and Reviews, and click the number of stars you want to give us. Then, right below that, click Write a Review and add your note. On Spotify, go to our page, click the 3 dots next to the settings wheel, and select Rate Show. We so appreciate your feedback, and as always, thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey everyone, from LinkedIn News, I'm Leah Smart, and this is Everyday Better, a personal development podcast where every week I sit down with some of the world's brightest minds and bravest hearts who use science and story to share strategies for how we can flourish individually, in relationship to others, and to the world around us. When I was in my late 20s, I made a major career pivot. I quit my job in sales, a field I'd been working in basically since I graduated from college, because I felt a calling to do something that had a deeper sense of meaning and purpose for me. I had no idea at the time how that calling was going to manifest, and I didn't know I'd be where I am today, but I knew there had to be more to the career I was building for myself. And let me tell you this, starting over entirely from the years I put into sales felt like a huge risk at the time, because it was. I had an entire list of all the reasons that maybe this would not work out. I felt like maybe I had become an entry-level candidate all over again because the roles I wanted were so different than sales. I worried about the fact that maybe people wouldn't want me without years of experience or advanced degrees like I felt my competition had. Plus, I worried that there weren't a whole lot of people who looked like me that were in the space I'm in today. And to be honest, there still aren't a ton of Black women who host shows and have built platforms around the science of personal development. And I will say, I still did it. I still kept moving forward. And I feel so incredibly lucky today to be able to do the work that I do. Let me tell you, it was not always easy, it was not comfortable, and there was a lot of uncertainty. Even today, I am still uncomfortable a lot. And my guest today is all about embracing the uncomfortable in service of what she calls your one true thing. That's your calling, or the thing that you know you must do. My guest is Carole Hopson. She's a writer, she's a mother of 2, and she's a Boeing 737 captain for United Airlines, which makes her just one of about 200 or so Black women in the country who fly a plane for a living. Carole wanted to be a pilot since she was a kid, but she didn't go to flight school, and she didn't get her license until she was my age, in her mid-30s. So this is her second act. Her first was spent in corporate America. She was leading HR and learning and development for major brands like Foot Locker and L'Oreal. And despite her looking successful on the outside by all measures, she could not help but be drawn back to that whisper she had as a child to fly planes. So she made it her mission to take one of the biggest leaps we've ever heard on this show, from corporate America to pilot. And not only did she become a pilot, she also became a published author since starting her second act. Her recently re-released historical fiction novel, A Pair of Wings, is about the life of Bessie Coleman, who in 1921 became the first Black woman to get a pilot's license. And her story is crazy, y'all. Carole and I sat down in the studio to talk about what it looks like to operationalize a dream, how the path to getting there is often so much longer than you expect it to be or want it to be. but how that only makes patience, planning, and persistence all the more important. And the payoff, oh, so much sweeter. Here's Carole. You know that you are one of maybe the few times, if the only time, that people will see a Black woman who's their pilot. And something you shared with me I didn't know when we first talked is that there are, less than 200 Black female pilots in the U.S.?
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right. There's about 150,000 people fly for a living. Of that number, roughly 2.5% are African American, about the same number, 2.5%, are Asian, 2.5%, or Latinx. Of that number, less than 6% are women. And Black women, you said it, were less than 200. And Black female captains were less than 24 in the U.S.
Wow. I think being a pilot crosses every kid's mind, you know, every kid, right? But you had a dream and you actually made it happen. I want to know, do you remember the first moment you had your ooh, as a child, I want to be in the air and I want to fly a plane?
Yes.
You do? What was it like?
Do. I was probably about 4, and my family would go on Sundays to my grandmother's house. One of my grandmothers lived across the street in West Philadelphia, and one of my grandmothers lived in South Jersey. And my grandmother who lived in South Jersey lived along the departure and the arrival corridor of Philadelphia International Airport. And I would go out and lay on the grass, look up into the sky. My grandmother would come out with a glass of iced tea, and she would say things like, "Who do you think is on that plane? Where are they coming from? How many engines does that one have?" And my most important question, which I always had to answer because it was almost dinner time, what do you think that they're eating? Especially in first class. What do you think they're serving? So I'd lie in the grass with my leg on top of my other leg, shaking my foot, and just peering into the sky. And since I could pick an airplane out of the sky, I wanted to fly one. And I believe, Leah, that when you believe in one true thing, you dedicate your life to it. And I believe that the difference between making something happen and having a dream, the difference between a dream and a goal is a date. You put a date on every one of those dreams.
I want to talk about how you're clearing the way in a second, but your career has changed so much. You literally made a decision to leave corporate America.
I did.
Leave high-paying jobs.
Comfortable.
Yes. You have been where so many people would love to go, and you made a decision. Talk to me about how you made that decision and what your one true thing is.
I was afraid to talk about it. My closest relatives didn't know that I wanted to fly a plane. I didn't want to say it. It seemed ridiculous. It just seemed outrageous. But let me go way back. So I see my husband on the subway in New York City. I ran up to him. I was so happy to see someone I knew from University of Virginia. I went to UVA undergrad, and then I went to Columbia University for graduate school, journalism. My husband had gone on to MIT. Ooh, fancy schmancy.
You're like, yep, smart guy.
Right, smart guy. Good guy to have babies with. That's
Correct.
a fella to pick, right? Yeah. But I didn't know it at the time. Anyway, I ran up just to say hi. He's so tall, he sticks up out of the crowd. He said, "Well, let's have lunch." I said, "Well, let's have dinner." He said, "Well, okay."
You said after dark.
Well, he's so fresh.
I caught that. Let's have lunch. Like, no, I want the sun to set.
And I wanted time,
Yeah.
right? Because during that time, it was a grind, right?
Yeah.
During your 20s and 30s, if you're here in New York City, you're grinding, you're working. With lunch is 55 minutes. It's fast. Let's
You're
get
in and out
back.
of
You're
something
in and
else.
out of something else. It's something else. And I wanted time. I wanted time to catch up to see what he had been doing. I'd always thought he was terribly interesting. His younger brother was one of my best friends in college, Chris. And so anyway, we go to dinner. We have an amazing dinner. We close the restaurant down. He said, you've had such an eclectic background. The question you said to me, you've worked as a newspaper reporter. You went to school for journalism. You worked at the National Football League. You worked at Foot Locker. What do you want to do next? I said, what do I want to do when I grow up? And he says, sure, I'll bite. What do you want to do when you grow up? And I said, if you laugh at me, oh my goodness, I'll be wounded. I said, I've never really said it before. And he said, well, what do you want to do? And the first time, Leah, when I was 30 years old, I let it out my mouth.
Wow.
I said, I want to fly a plane.
Yeah, what was that like?
It was like, you know how you take that top off the soda and it goes,
Yep.
I went, it felt like I could breathe.
Wow.
Oh, 2 weeks later, a week later, we have dinner. He makes me this amazing dinner. And he said, if I cook you clean, I was like, oh, I'm really a good cleaner. That's fine.
You're like, correct, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Teamwork
good.
also.
Teamwork, right? So I picked up my placemat, and there was an envelope. And it was gift certificates to go fly. I was like, damn, this guy's a keeper.
You're like, will you? You're like, I'm not asking, but I'm telling you. You better
This
ask.
guy's a keeper.
Yeah.
It took me an hour to get to Teterboro. And at that time, Teterboro did what's known as discovery flights. And I encourage anybody who wants to fly, go take what's known as a discovery flight. We were sitting there behind, I didn't even know it at the time, but Hawkers and Gulfstreams and Chargers and amazing airplanes. And as we're sitting there, what's going through my mind? Like, when are we going to go? When are we going to go? I felt like my inner kid was just like,
You're
bouncing
ready.
up and down.
Yeah.
I couldn't sit still. I wanted to go. And yet the adult woman was kind of like, all right, calm down.
Relax,
Sit down.
Carole. Yeah.
Relax,
Yeah.
Carole. Shh, quiet. Don't miss a moment. We took off, and I'm telling you, when our wheels left the ground, it was just amazing.
What's it like?
Oh, gosh, Leah. So my sister said to me, what's it like?
And what'd you
She
say?
was my writing coach. And I was struggling to write that very thing. So she was like, what's it like? What was that first flight like? And leaving the ground felt as though you had left all the troubles behind. You can't think about, darn, I have a bad hair day. Or, geez Louise, the taxes are due. Or, oh, shucks, I got to make the appointment for the dog. Or, you should have done all that before you got there. Because the next moment is that moment. Flying is the closest thing I've ever experienced to being in the now, to being right now. There are times when our ground speed in a jet is more than 500 miles an hour. It's now.
Yeah.
And it's next. And it's not what's behind me. I have never flown an airplane that has a rear view mirror. They don't make them in planes. Hot damn.
You're either in the now, you're
It's
in the now, and you're going forward.
And it's in the next, because where you are next is what you're planning for.
So what happens? You land, and then you're like, okay, I'm quitting my job. I'm done.
That's it. I'm quitting my job. I'm done. And we met for dinner, and he said, no, don't quit
He's
that
like, I
good
didn't mean to
job.
do that. Yeah. He's like, I just wanted you to have some fun.
I want you to have a little fun. What in the world? So he gathered himself, and he does what he does. And he said, I tell you what, why don't you and I create an exit strategy for you? I said, what's that mean? He said, it's how you go. And it's when you go. And it's a planned departure, almost like when you take a flight, right? You wouldn't just hop in the airplane and go from here to California.
Yeah.
You would plan it out. You would, how much fuel do you need? That's money.
Yep.
How much time will it take? That's your flight time. Where will you go? That's your research. All right, we got a little work to do. That exit strategy was about 6 years. It was supposed to be 5, but it became 6. Why was it 5 years? Because we needed to move out of Manhattan. We needed to buy a home for taxes. We needed to get married and then buy the home. So it was in both of our names. I digress.
It's called advice. Take it. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so there's the one true thing that guided you. I think a lot of people don't know what their one true thing is.
That's right.
How do we find it?
You ask yourself, and doggone it, you listen. And you know what it is. A girlfriend of mine said to me one time, and she's gone. She's one of my best friends, Suzanne Douglas, gorgeous actress, beautiful. Your pretty face reminds me of her. She said, Carole, what would you do if you knew you could not fail? And I use that question all the time with people I love. And I also ask this question, what would you do if you weren't afraid? Just because you're afraid doesn't mean that you don't do it. It means that you surround yourself with people who will help you get through the thing that makes you most afraid. And usually the thing that makes you most afraid is the thing that makes you the strongest. It's Odyssey. It's Iliad. It's doing what you want to do, even though it makes you afraid.
I think everybody can answer that question. I think you're right. If they spend enough time sitting with it, most of us then give into our fear.
That's right.
Looking at your story, which is incredibly inspiring. And sometimes I don't know. Sometimes when I share my story, people say, you're inspiring. And I say, thank you. And
Absolutely.
I also want, I don't want the inspiration to feel like where it stops. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's amazing to be inspiring, but I want to inspire your action.
That's
I
right.
don't want to inspire your dream.
That's right.
And then have you go to bed and wake up and say, remember that inspiring woman I talked to?
See there?
Remember that person?
See there?
Yeah.
Just like what you've been able to do to create what wasn't there, Leah. And here goes the other thing. In order to act, you must wake. So you can't just have a dream.
Yeah.
In order to act, you must wake. Action involves doing. The difference between a dream and a goal is a date. All of the licenses that I earned in order to fly a plane. I took a piece of paper. I don't care. You could do it on your phone these days, fancy pants. Put that on your refrigerator. I'm going to have my private pilot's license in 2 months. I'm going to have my instrument rating. I'm going to earn my multi-engine. I'm going to get my certified flight instructor. And each one of those, you stick a date on it, you hold yourself accountable.
I think also the other thing, you talk about this exit plan, which for me feels like the tangible next step to the dream.
That's right.
The two things I heard are I made an exit plan, but also like I was ready for it to take 5 years. It took 6. And I think so many people go, what? 6 years? It's not going to happen tomorrow, right? Like we are all in this like kind of world where we think that.
Take a picture and you see it in an instant.
Right. How do you become okay with the time it takes? And how would you advise people to make an exit plan for those people who are, I mean, you were mid-career.
That's right.
Right? So it's not the beginning.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I was definitely mid-career. I was 30.
Yeah, right.
And there's a sentence I like to say. I went from making 6 figures a year to being a flight instructor and making $16 an hour, and I had never been happier. I finished my training in June of 2001, July, August, September 11th.
Yep.
And that felt like the air went out my balloon. So my husband said for a decade, not your career, but your industry is going to struggle. And let's think about having children. I was like, children? With me? And he was like,
You got the wrong chick.
yeah, you. And I was like, well, maybe we have kids with your next wife. It wasn't part of the plan. And he said, well, 9/11 wasn't anybody else's plan. So you're not the only one whose sky has fallen. And now's the time to have kids. I was pregnant September 17th. So I've only recently begun to talk about this. I think it's something women have to talk about. I had a miscarriage 3 months into it, and I was devastated.
Yeah.
I went from not wanting to praying and making those deals with God like people do. But I was pregnant again in another 2 months, and I lost that one. And then I got back to my deal making. If you let me, I promise I'll be more grateful.
Yeah.
And that pregnancy stuck. And I got pregnant again. This time I was 40. So now I was 2.5 years, 3 years out from September 11th. I had an infant and a toddler. And I had 2 boys. Having those 2 bad little boys were the best thing that I could have ever done. It was the only thing in my little life that I cared about more than anything. And I spent 14 years at home. And Leah, the time went by in a flash.
Wow.
And I stayed home till they were in middle school. And when I turned 50, I looked up and I was 50. I was like, what am I, cute as I am? What am I doing 50? What happened?
You're still cute,
I'm
but
still
I get
cute,
it.
but daggone it. 50. And I said to my husband, it's time for me to fish or cut bait, big guy. That whole time I had been flight instructing. I worked for a little simulator company. I would always do what I had to do and be back in time for the pickup line.
Well, and I'm like listening to you talk about the time it took. I mean, the first thing I think in my mind is like, God, most people would have given up. Most people would have been like, well, that dream's over. And I also want to call out that so many women, even now, feel like children can ruin careers or can change your career.
Not so. So 2 things I want to say. My husband said to me, and he's so full of truisms. One is that in your career, in your job, I want you to have cracker crumbs in your bed. What do you mean by that? He says, I don't want you to be too comfortable. I don't want you to lie on linen that's soft and that you get soft. I want you to always be thinking what's next. And that sense is what keeps me safe in the airplane. That smarts, that father wit is what keeps me going because it's not comfortable. It's not comfortable in corporate America. It's not comfortable just sitting in my left seat of my airplane. It's not comfortable writing a historical fiction. It's risky, right? It makes you vulnerable.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things he said. The other thing he said is start small. You don't start out at a major airline. You start in a little teeny Cessna 172. And then you get to regional airline. And then you get to major airline. So your steps are literally ordered.
Yeah.
You can't go from the first floor to the 10th floor without climbing a lot of steps. You can't eat that apple whole. So building a business, for those women out there who are listening who want to be entrepreneurs, or you want to be the best pastry chef, or you want to own, an electronics company, you start small. You understand what it is that you're selling. And then part of the sales, any sales, is you. Any business, whether you're flying airplanes or making donuts. The hardest thing is people. And guess who are wonderful employees? Moms. Everybody listening out there, LinkedIn, you're looking for people? Consider your moms. Moms are amazing. You know how we say necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah.
Right? Your sense of priorities, you got it. Your sense of how to counsel somebody to do what's important. In my job, de-escalating conflict has become one of the most important skills. People get to the airport, oh my gosh, there's more traffic, there's more weather, they're going through security, they're shaken and stirred, they get to the gate. What do we need to do? I need to come out there. That's it. You need to lower the temperature. I need to come out there on that microphone and make you feel good. I need to, in 37 seconds, instill confidence and let you know that now is the easiest part of your journey. That's it. Sit back. I mean, relax. You're in good hands.
Coming up, Carole tells us about her novel, A Pair of Wings, which explores the life of Bessie Coleman, who in 1921 became the first Black woman to get a pilot license. She defied so many odds, from being a stowaway on a ship to teaching herself a new language at 26 years old, all to follow her one true thing, flying. We'll be back in just a few moments. And we're back with United Airlines captain and author Carole Hopson.
I never saw her. I never learned about her. I never knew about her in any textbook. Just missing from the public record, from the historical record, from the lexicon of our heroes. Now, to me, she's an icon of equal status. She was 11 years old when the Wright brothers made their first flight on December 17th, 1903. And I can only imagine, here's historical fiction, that when that newspaper article came out and it said, because newspapers were the social media of the day, that the Wright brothers made their first flight, what did that flying machine look like? Was it like a mosquito or a bird of prey? Where did it get its power from? Holy moly, like her curiosity, her ability to create, her ability to think started before that. But now it was rapture. And so there's this ability to climb above your circumstance. Her mother was a slave. Her mother was a slave. 1892, she's born. Her mother was a slave in Texas. So that means they got an extra 2 years.
Yep.
And she is in a generation of men and women who come out of mothers' wombs, who had been enslaved women, and they come out fighting.
Yeah.
They come out screaming. And they come out with grit, and they come out working. She was a laundress. She was a housekeeper before she was what we would call an adolescent. Before she was a teenager, she was picking cotton and washing clothes and being a maid. When you have that, when you struggle, when you figure out that what's behind you is much more scary than what's in front of you, you strap on boots like she did. You put on a leather duster. And then she gets herself together and she goes to college, the first of her family to go. But she can't stay. She can't afford to stay. So she comes back to Texas. And then she goes over to France and learns how to fly, because no one in the United States would teach her. And embedded in that sentence is the fact that she had to learn how to speak French.
A completely different language.
A completely different language.
As an adult.
As an adult.
Yep.
From age 26 to 29, she goes to school at Berlitz night classes. How is it that I never knew of her?
You know, I told you I grew up with a mom who was always telling me and my brother, you know, especially during Black History Month, but other times, what people did. She still does this. I still get texts today.
Love Mom.
To me and my adult brother, like, don't
her.
forget this is something that this person did. Here's who invented the refrigerator.
I get
Here's who
chills.
invented this. And I was saying to, my partner yesterday as I was talking about this interview, and I was explaining to him about Bessie Coleman, he said, well, why didn't I learn about it?
There you go.
And I said, I wonder the same thing about so many of the things that my mom has taught me, so many of the things that I had to learn. I was in one of the most powerful classes I've ever taken was an African-American history class. I went to a private school, so my teacher was able to pitch this class and get it approved. Public schools would not. So that class was the most important class I took in high school, because it taught so much about who we were, not just what we've been through, not just slavery, which is what too many of us, I think, learn only or solely about, but about who we were and who we became.
And how.
And how, yeah. And I think what can happen for Black kids is, and for all kids, is like you hear about stories of slavery and then you hear about Martin Luther King. You don't hear
There's
about...
a gap.
Yeah. Because there are certain people who choose what goes in history books.
That's right.
That
History is told by the victors.
Yeah.
And so what happens to all those other people? Lewis Latimer makes the light bulb burn longer. I could see you smiling. Your mom sent you that one.
That's a mom one, yeah.
So Alexander Graham Bell and Edison, they fight over him, a draftsman. He's there in the patent work of both of those very famous inventors.
But he is not in our books.
But he's not in our books.
Yeah.
He's not there. How is that? How is Bessie Coleman, who flew and earned her certificate, her license? Oh gosh, I get so emotional. It makes me want to cry every time I say it.
Before. Yeah.
Almost 2 years, 20 months, approximately, before Amelia Earhart ever steps onto the field in Rogers Field in California. How does she?
That makes me cry.
How do we miss her?
Yeah.
How do we not know? And so when she gets to France by ocean liner, and then she winds her way down to Paris by train, the school that she was to go to said, I'm sorry, but there will be no more women, not black, not Asian, not white, not Latin, not none, because we just had 2 women die. And she said, I don't think you know where I came from.
You don't get it, right?
You just don't.
You don't get it.
I came from Waxahachie, Texas.
You don't even know how to spell that.
Say it twice. Yeah. By way of Chicago. By way of Hoboken, New Jersey. Because that's where the boat left. By way of the ocean. During the time of year when only I could afford a ticket. And now we call that time hurricane season. She traveled then because it was cheap, and she was in steerage where the machines pumped and hummed. And for 10, 11 days. And then travel by way of a train. And then she was told no. And so she got herself together, got on another train, went back to the north of France, and went to one of the most important, most famous schools in France. The Quadrone School. Do you think any of those things happened fast? Mm-mm. The only thing that happened fast was her life. All of this happens. Her career is 5, almost just under 6 years.
She dies at 34.
She dies at 34. 34. I want to depart for a minute. I was 34 when I met a woman named Jenny Beatty, and she gave me a coffee cup and had Bessie Coleman's picture on one side and 50 words I like to say that changed my life on the other. Mm-hmm. There's something about your mid-30s where you realize it's now or never.
I was 34 when I got this job.
Hot dog.
Yeah.
Hot dog. That 3, 4, it's that timing. You gotta, okay, let me get my ducks in a row. Let me get my steps in order. Let me move.
So I want to go back to the crackers in the bed, because as you're talking about this, it's like we want those cracker crumbs in our beds. So I sit here and I'm wondering, as you think about who you are and you think about who she was and how you've gotten to where you've gotten, what are the qualities of a person who does what you do? Ooh, so you know what I mean? Like, it's so comfortable. Like, it can be so comfortable, but yeah, it's like, what qualities can someone focus on to go, wait a minute, I don't have any cracker crumbs in my bed right now, and I want them, or I want to make the move, but something is holding me back. Like, what are the qualities I should be working on, the skills as a person that I should be working on to get myself moving?
I think that you need probably about 5 things. 1, you have to assess where you are and where do you want to go. 2, you need some degree of research, and it's not just what Google says. If I want to fly an airplane, I got to figure out, how do I get that training?
You go to the library and you say,
who do
I find? How do I do this? Yeah.
And so you go to Women in Aviation, you go to Organization of Black Aerospace Professionals. Mm-hmm. You get yourself a team. Number 3, you make a real assessment of what your skills are and where you're lacking.
You have to be honest with yourself.
You got to be real honest with yourself. What are my strengths? That's nice. What are my weaknesses? Sometimes they're almost the same, but sometimes, and I get a chill when I say this, you just don't want to tell yourself.
No, it's the hardest thing to do.
It's the hardest thing to do Write it down on a piece of paper. Number 4, get to work on those weaknesses. And number 5, clear your path. If you want to go to flight school, if you want to go to pastry school, if you want to be an engineer, if you want to be an architect, if you want to be or do, start clearing your path. If you have a spouse who doesn't want you to do this, talk to them and convince them. This is why I need this. And this is why you are in my corner. You're getting now, going back to number 2, you're making your team. And they're on your team. And I think those are probably the 5. Where are you? Where do you want to go? Start your research. What are the steps I need to do to get where I need to go? What are the dates? How much will it cost me? I don't know if everybody's ready for this. What do I have to sell in order to buy myself some time? What do I have to sell?
Is that metaphorical or is that like...
It's both.
Yeah.
Like I had to sell my career to raise my children. And that 14 years that I spent was worth every single day.
I want to have you read this excerpt that we loved, which is at the end. It's how you close out your afterward.
Oh, I see highlights.
Yeah, you got highlights. I want to have you read this for our listeners. And then I want to ask you something. Two things.
I don't know if I brought my glasses. Page 404, the afterword. Time is one of the most valuable resources that a human being can possess. It is also one of the few that, in terms of lifespan, can never be bought nor borrowed. I often think about what Bessie Coleman did with her 34 years. A testament to her robust human spirit, tenacity, and moxie, Bessie Coleman became a maverick who charted a path that did not exist. Bessie Coleman remains a luminary who has shown us the way, not only in aviation, but in how to truly lead a purpose-driven life.
Ugh. So for people who never knew about Bessie until now, what do we have to know?
You have to know that she was one of the strongest, one of the smartest, one of the most dedicated people to her one true thing. You have to know that she came to believe in herself in a world that did not believe in Black women, in a world that profited from our labor, in a world that conscribed her to her circumstances. And she rose above them, literally. She almost defied gravity to do what she did. Came to believe in herself in a world that did not believe in Black women, in a world that profited from our labor, in a world that conscribed her to her circumstances. And she rose above them, literally. She almost defied gravity to do what she did and not widen the path. My goal is by the year 2035, so between the years of 2025 and 2035, to send 100 Black women to flight school. I got a decade.
Yeah.
I'm trying to beat my own record. 20% of every book sale goes to the Jet Black Foundation. All my little teeny weeny speaker fees, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 at a time, I've dedicated to the Jet Black Foundation. That certainly doesn't make me richer financially. I'm poorer. My husband says, if it's not nailed down, should just give it away. Lord have mercy. But it makes me wealthy.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. I've gotten on my Instagram and stuff. Why Black women? Why? Because we're minuscule when it comes to our numbers. Because we don't often get access. Because we don't often get a 5-year ramp up and then have nothing to do but go to school. What do I want people to know about me? I continuously ask myself this one question. Would the 25-year-old me be proud of the 60-year-old me? Would she say, I am proud of you. I think what you're doing is purposeful. I think what you're doing is amazing. And with that 25-year-old me, would she seek me out as a friend? And if I can answer that in the affirmative, I'm doing the right thing. And the last thing I'll leave you with, because I know our time is coming to a close. You can have everything. It's just really hard to have it all at once. I love crab cakes and I love chocolate cake. I would never think about sticking a fork in each and putting them both in my mouth at the same time. I eat my crab cakes first. I'll eat my chocolate cake at the end of my meal. I want the sweetness of life to be here where I have less time, where I have less time in front of me than I do behind me. And so every step is important. Every step must be made to make things a little better. If you're not making it better, then you're making it worse. Leah, we're going to get 100 Black women to flight school.
Yeah.
And in the process, we're going to encourage a lot of other women.
Yeah.
And I don't care what hue they are.
No, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. We need to
That's,
fly
yeah.
planes and go places.
Yeah.
And have children and show our children, the girls and the boys, what it's like to have mama warriors.
Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing Bessie's story. Thank you for, God, I mean, thank you for making your own dreams come true because,
Amen.
you know, it's like I said earlier, people may not want your dream, but they want theirs. And so
Let's
when they
get it on.
see you doing it,
Let's
that
get it
gives them
on.
permission.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love how you said that. The one person who gives you permission is you.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Let her out.
Mm-hmm.
She's in there. What would you do if you knew you could not fail? What would you do if you weren't afraid? Get to it.
That was Carole Hopson, United Airlines pilot and author of the book, A Pair of Wings. And I've got to say a special thanks to Nicole Wallace-RDA for putting our team in touch with this amazing woman. Everyday Better is a production of LinkedIn News. The show is produced by Grace Rubin and Emily Reeves. Asaf Gadrone is our sound engineer. He makes sure we sound good in the studio. Tim Boland mixed our show. Enrique Montalvo is the executive producer of LinkedIn Editorial Productions. Dave Pond is head of news production. Courtney Coop is head of LinkedIn Original Audio and Video. Dan Roth is the editor-in-chief of LinkedIn. And I'm Leah Smart. Thanks for coming with me, and I'll see you next week.